I'm Dr. Gene Antonucci. I started my career in dentistry in the Air Force, where I helped our military personnel get healthy and stay healthy. From there, I built a successful practice in Huntington, New York, and later as a teacher, lecturer, and author, I shared my knowledge and experience with students and fellow healthcare professionals. And now my journey's taken me here to explore the world of health, wellness, diet, fitness, and nutrition, as together we discover and find the good life. Welcome to Finding the Good Life. I'm Dr. Gene. Today, we're going to talk about the future of cryptocurrency with financial expert David Sacco, and we'll talk to author Jay Hummer about how to make every day a field trip. But first, let's find the good news. A 99-year-old World War II veteran and his daughter have raised over $34 million to support healthcare workers and staff at the UK's National Health Service. Captain Tom Moore's daughter, Hannah Ingram Moore, wanted him to keep active while in lockdown after he broke his hip more than a year ago. So she promised him £1, or approximately $1 for every lap that he did around his garden by his 100th birthday on April 30th. Armed with a walker and determined to complete 100 laps, Moore began his challenge to raise money for NHS Charities Together, which collects funds for UK hospitals as well as healthcare staff and volunteers. The father and daughter also just started a Just Giving page on April 8th in honor of his challenge and aim to raise £1,000 by the end of the month. After local media began covering Moore's mission, donations flooded in, prompting them to keep increasing their target amount. Moore completed his challenge well before his birthday, surrounded by a guard of honor from the 1st Battalion Yorkshire Regiment and cheered on by a crowd of healthcare workers. Moore told NBC News, "It isn't for me, it's for all the people, the doctors, the nurses, whichever country you're in. It's for them because they're doing so well." What began as a way for a San Diego chef and entrepreneur to help feed her community during a tumultuous year has turned into an immense community-driven movement spanning 13 states and 266 cities. To combat the helplessness she was feeling amid the COVID-19 pandemic, Rhiannon men turned to cooking to pass the time and to make a difference. After making multiple trays of lasagna, men inquired on several Facebook groups about whether families in the area needed extra meals. While neighbors took her up on her offer, others volunteered to assist cooking more meals for people in need. As word spread online about men and a growing cohort of volunteers known as the Lasagna Mamas and Lasagna Papas, the Lasagna Love movement grew into a national operation, helping those in need of a free meal. Interested volunteers can go on the organization's website and sign up to be matched with a family or individual in the area who's in need of meals. People who are interested in the Lasagna Love mission but are unable to cook can also sponsor a mama or a papa. And finally, this teen started a nonprofit to teach the elderly karate right from their nursing homes. Now he's moving his practice online so everyone can take part.
Every time I'm there with them, they smiling and just happy. It's a great feeling. Golden Age Karate is a nonprofit organization where I started, and I travel to nursing homes and teach senior citizens basic karate moves in high hold karate class.
We're going to take our shortest break, and we'll be back in 30 seconds.
If your loved one has passed away due to COVID-19, pay close attention to this message. You could be entitled to a death benefit of over $300,000. The U.S. government has set up a fund to pay families relief if they've lost a loved one due to COVID-19. Time is limited, so we urge you to make a free phone call right now. All legal fees are only covered once you receive your money. Call the legal helpline right now to find out if you qualify for a cash award.
You don't have to be a billionaire or an economic expert to see that cryptocurrency has changed the financial world. But how did something that was basically invented from thin air become so substantial? And is it something a casual investor should get involved with? I don't have these answers, but I've invited the perfect person to ask. Professor David Sacco is a practitioner in residence at the University of New Haven in the Finance and Economics departments, and he's a former member of the UBS Investment Bank Board. Welcome, Professor.
Thanks for having me.
Thank you so much for joining me today. Now, how should a person approach investing when they're dealing with cryptocurrency?
So the first thing I would say is I would use the word speculation as opposed to investment, because this is a incredibly risky asset class. There is a tremendous amount of potential, but also a huge amount of uncertainty that goes along with it.
So can it function as a long-term investment?
Absolutely, but in terms of how people invest and the things that you include in your portfolio, you'd want to have it be a very small percentage. And what I advise people who ask me about it is to think about crypto like you do other risky asset classes, where you're only basically willing to invest an amount that you're willing to lose.
So as an investment, you explained it, but what about as a currency itself? Are more and more retailers accepting this?
So I think some are, but honestly, I think it's mostly a marketing gimmick, because what happens is when people announce that they accept Bitcoin, they get publicity. I've done several interviews getting asked to respond to companies who are now accepting Bitcoin, and for all practical purposes, I doubt they're doing very many transactions in it, but they are getting publicity associated with it.
So what does the future hold?
El Salvador announced that they are now accepting cryptocurrency as one of their national currencies. And they actually went out and they bought a bunch of cryptocurrency, or Bitcoin, I should say, and they're providing their citizens with $30 worth of Bitcoin in an app that they have. Now, their logic is, and I think this is where we're going to see it take more prevalence. In a place like the United States, where we have a very stable currency, in fact, the reserve currency for the world, most of us don't think of there being much risk in the dollars that we hold in our pocket and the purchasing power associated with them. In places like Venezuela, where they don't typically have very stable currencies, it is more of an issue. And in places like, El Salvador, but also Venezuela has the same issue. And in a place like El Salvador, where a lot of people don't have access to the banking system, the thought is that being able to basically transact crypto on your phone becomes a de facto banking system. Now, again, do people have access to phones? And so it's going to be an interesting experiment. But if it's successful, I can envision a lot of less developed countries around the world who think about using the same approach, and that could lead to a big boost in the acceptance of crypto, and also maybe increasing its stability a little.
This is really a fascinating topic. I thank you for joining me. I wish we had a lot more time to go through with this, and I think everybody needs to really understand and learn. Thank you for joining me today.
Thanks for having me.
We'll be back with more of Finding the Good Life after this quick break.